Hey Mountain Lions, Coach Carl here with some more bike mechanic tips for you from my garage. You can see we're here in my workshop, and I want to talk to you today about your wheels. Okay, specifically this is a tubeless ready wheel set from Stan's. It's the Stan's Flow, fairly common, nothing too fancy, but this is my rear wheel. I got a flat. I tried to repair the tire. It didn't work out. The tire was ready to go, so I need to replace it. But I like to ride my wheels with tubeless wheels, so I'm going to go ahead and do that with my rear wheel, my brand new Maxxis tire, and some Stan's sealant. So let's get to it. The first thing I want to do once I remove the old wheel is make sure it's clean. I'm going to inspect my yellow rim tape for any debris, okay, to make sure that it's free of debris and that it's not dirty. I'm going to make sure it's not damaged anywhere, and if it's damaged, I'm either going to replace it with more yellow tape, or at times I've used Gorilla Tape for that. So Gorilla Tape is a pretty good alternative to the more expensive Stan's yellow tape. So I think mine is fine today, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that. I also have on here my Presta valve. This valve is, you can see that it seals directly into the wheel through a hole. This is where I'm going to insert air. So I inspect it to make sure it's working properly. I'll replace that if I need to. Okay, and while I have the wheel off the rim, I always want to take a look at all my spokes, make sure my spokes aren't damaged or dented. Some of these are in fact damaged, and this wheel's going to have to go eventually, but for now, I'm going to let it ride, and I'm going to rebuild the wheel another time. Maybe that'll be another video over the winter. Okay, so I'm going to mount the wheel here, and I'm going to take my. I'm going to open up my brand new tire. Now this is the Maxxis. It's a Maxxis Recon. It's a fairly strong tread. It's the EXO version, which has stronger sidewalls, which I prefer. I ride pretty aggressively. And so what you want to do is look at your tire when you unfold it to make sure it's not damaged. Okay, I'm giving it a quick once over. Everything looks good. I don't expect any problems. Maxxis is one of my favorite brands. I normally ride a tire called the Maxxis Ardent. Has a very similar tread pattern, maybe a little bit more aggressive even than this. Ardent was out of stock right now, so I'm going to give the Recon a try. These are directional. You can see the tread goes forward. This is the right side of my wheel with the cassette on it, so I need to make sure when I mount the wheel on here that is directional. So I'm going to adjust this so that my valve is at the bottom, and that's going to make it easier to pump and add air to the tire later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slip the tire over the wheel, the bead, and I'm going to gently push it so that the tire seats inside the rim all the way around on one side. Okay, and I'll try and hold it here so I can show you. Now, brand new tires are very tough to get on the rim. Which is why we might need to get a tool. So I'm going to use a plastic tire lever, and I'm going to use plastic and be very gentle not to damage my rim or the rim tape. Even though it's plastic, it can still happen. Just going to pop it on real slowly all the way around. Okay. All right, and so now I've got one side on. And I'm going to pull it with my fingers close to the other side. So how this looks right now is I've got the rim separated from the tire, but I'm going to try and push the tire as close to that rim as possible. All right. I'm going to do that all the way around. And I'm not going to worry too much about this step because as I add air, that's going to resolve the problem. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Right, except I'm going to leave the bottom open like this. Let me make sure you can see that. I'm going to leave the bottom open because I'm going to pour my stance fluid right into that when I'm ready to seal it up. Okay? All right, so got that done. Now I'm going to take my stand sealant, and typically it takes about 2 ounces. I always over add this. I'm not too concerned about riding with a really lightweight wheel and tire combination here, so I usually add a little bit extra because this stuff dries out. You have to replace it every 6 months or so, okay? So I like to make doggone sure that if I get a flat, there's going to be sealant in there. I wasn't very diligent about that, which is why I end up having to replace this whole tire. So check my marker on the side. Looks like a little bit more, and it'll be 2 ounces. All right. It's one of those things you get at a local bike shop, online retailer, the same. So I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to spin it so that now the sealant's down here in this part that I've already tightened up. Put my wheel back on, something to hang. I'm using a bike repair stand. I've used hooks on the wall. Anything like that works just fine. All right, and so now that I've got it on there, it's pretty tight. So I'm going to get my trusty plastic tire lever one more time. Get this other side. Oop, looks like it's slipping around. Again, I'm going to have to be real gentle here. So now I've got the new tire on. My valve is in between the rim. And so if I've done this right, let me get this hung up here so I can talk to you. If I've done this right, all I should need to do is add air, okay? With a floor pump. Should be all the pressure I need because this new tire with this good quality tubeless wheel rim, it should pair up pretty nicely, and the bead is going to pop right inside that tire rim, and it's going to seal in there, and you'll hear it do that when I'm pumping it in. So when the bead and the tire marry up, it'll pop in like a puzzle piece. You'll hear it pop. We'll be able to see all the way around that it's married up pretty well, and then that fluid inside is going to be like a glue. It's going to dry like a glue and hold the tire to the rim. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to do this up here. Okay, you can see it's starting to seal up. It's filling up with air. Not a lot of air is leaking around, but I can hear a little bit. I got to keep adding air. Now, if I have to, I can get a compressor and just hit it with a blast of air from the compressor, but I shouldn't need to do that. I'm going to keep adding air. Whoop, you hear that? So it's popping onto the bead. I'm at about 10 psi right now on my pump. And I'm going to pump it up between 30 and 40 psi before it's all the way on, all the way around. I'm going to stop right here and show you. What you see here is where the bead is slowly coming on, okay, but it's still tucked in underneath over here, I think. Yep. You can see the tire rim of the bead is sticking out, or is tucked in here, but it's popping out over here. So I need to make the whole rim, the whole tire on both sides look like this. And you'll see that happen as we add air to it. Make this go a little bit quicker. I'm going to go and do this on the floor. Okay, so that's about 40 psi. All right, now I'm gonna inspect my rim all the way around. I can see that the bead has seated properly all the way around. I'm visually inspecting. It should look uniform. There's a rim, and may be difficult to see in the video, but there's a rim right here along the tire, and I can see the whole thing all the way around. Yep, so I've got a good seal. No air is leaking. And the last and final step, I should hear the fluid sloshing in there. So I'm going to shake it and move it in a circle like this. Okay? And I'm sloshing that fluid all the way around on the inside of the tire. Okay? So what that'll do, what that's going to do for me is make sure I've got a good coating of that sealant all the way around the bead of my tire. And what I can do eventually is I can remove the core, the cap and the core from this valve stem and add more fluid through that using a tool that I have. I'll show you in another video how to add sealant to your tire in case that's something you need to do. Requires some specialty tools. You can always just unseat the bead. I hate doing that. If you can avoid it, don't unseat the bead, because once you got a good seal, you don't want to break that. So the last thing I'm going to do, last several things anyway, is I got to set this down flat on a chain or a box and lay it flat. Okay? And every 20 minutes, I'm going to come out, I'm going to do that shake all the way around. Okay, I'm going a whole circle. I'm going to turn it over and lay it on the other side. Once I do that overnight, you don't want to go right immediately because that glue's not, that sealant's not glued on yet. But once you do all that, then you can set it down on that box or whatever you've got, and that sucker's gonna seal up, and you'll be ready to ride tomorrow. All right, that's all I got for now, Mountain Lions. Looking forward to seeing you on Thursday. It's going to be a great week, hopefully. And all right, enjoy.